servers are officially down.
No way. Oh my god, Stan.
I think this is it, boys.
TF2 is a PC game. Always, from beginning to now, you download it on Steam, you play it on Steam, nothing more. But what if I told you that was all a lie? I'm sure a lot of you know of the Orange Box, a bundle of Valve's greatest hits you can still buy today. But something is often forgotten is that it was also released for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. The general assumption from the PC community is that these servers were shut down years ago, but that just isn't the case. Xbox servers are still alive and well, but unfortunately the same can't be said for PlayStation. These games and their communities are treasure trove with some crazy stories that I feel bad for letting go unnoticed. Now, I, like many others, was a console kid, Xbox all the way. So apart from seeing my friend's brother play Portal 2 a while back, I had no influence from Valve until 2015, when I got my hands on a copy of the Orange Box for dirt cheap from my local sex. And then I ventured into the weird world of Xbox TF2. Playing an Xbox 360 nearly a year after the Xbox One meant that I was already pretty used to some modding. Yeah, Call of Duty games would be filled with some crazy shit, but none I wasn't used to at that stage. But I was amazed by what I saw when I first loaded up that game of 2 for it. It was crazy, like a whole new world. I had no methods of recording back then, but I have this absurdly clear memory of someone who I later learned to be called G-Man walking through the 2-foot bridge and insta-killing me. And dude, that blew my baby brain. I wanted to do it myself, really badly. So I looked up how to install mods onto my Xbox. While I was on the laptop during my 30 minutes on weekends, I downloaded TF2 here as well. But I was shocked when I went to play a game. It was nothing like the Xbox version. Everyone had different weapons, different maps, people even looked different. When I saw Kangaroo Sniper just chilling with a sign of softcore porn, I thought it was just another mod. But it was around here when I started looking at the actual game wikis and threads like the little neek I am, and I found these weren't mods. This was the actual game. And Xbox was just being kept in the dark. I wanted to finally get to experience everything in the game I was missing out on. That's the story for most Xbox or PlayStation players. They grew up with the Orange Box and just happened to play TF2 there, but as time went on, they learned how much better the PC game was, and eventually migrated there instead. But over time, these updates started to come back to bite the PC community. It's a pretty common consensus that Meet Your Match was the worst TF2 update ever dropped. And where did people go to avoid the whole fallout of this? Well, back to a time before any updates. Console TF2 dropped identical to PC, but when Valve started to try and push updates, things got a little rusty. Valve were eager to try out this continuous update business model. That just wasn't normal in the console world. The effort of pushing 3 new updates for 3 different consoles just became too much. And then there's the problem of EA and Microsoft, the game's publishers, who demanded a charge of $40,000 per patch, making it absurd for Valve to continue their effort with the game. The fact that console TF2 existed in a time before any actual updates used to be its downfall, but over time, it started to work in its favour again. Sure, we're missing new weapons, but that means we get the TF2 gameplay exactly how it was originally intended, without any of these egregious additions. Sure, there's no hats, and that might lead to a bit less customization, but look at how pretty the art style is with all this visual mess. Every cloud has a silver lining, and it's really apparent here. It was like a time capsule, back before all this bloating content was added to the base game. A time capsule back to the TF2 that all these people grew up with and loved. A time capsule to our childhood. I played the game for about a year when I first tried out the PC version, and it blew my mind. But years on, I realised that this original experience is still so much better. It's to the extent that numerous community projects have tried to replicate, all to varying degrees of success. But all of these spin-offs are just polished up versions of the base game. Oh, we're just gonna add some patches, only a couple of new weapons. No, let me enjoy this horribly balanced game. I want Pyro's only attack to be WM1. I want engineers to be stuck with their building placement. I want Demoman to be obnoxiously overpowered. Like, seriously, Valve, how the fuck did this make it into the game? I want all of this because this is what I know. This is what I love. This is what I grew up with. It's not perfect, and that's why I love it. It's a safe haven from the anarchy of modern TF2, and it was used by competitive players too. Now, regular comp TF2 is janky enough, and that's with all the updates and patches over 15 years. So think of how much worse this would be, right? And yeah, you're right, but that won't stop them. They couldn't actually enforce any rules thanks to lack of commands, so it just became a mutual trust between players. Also, the maps. You think the turbine's bad for comp, try Dust Bowl, but the problems kept piling up. It was the servers that turned out to be the biggest one. No specially organised comp servers with all the plugins and whistles we've came to expect. Just find a good server and hope that no one else joins. But even if randoms do join, the guys have some hilarious ways of deterring them, such as, and I quote, trapping them at spawn with 5 demo men, setting elaborate traps with sentry guns in the most bizarre hiding spots on the map. The roadblocks were huge, but that just wouldn't deter the players, and even if a match fell through before the start, everyone would just hang out and talk anyway. As competitive communities go, that sounds amazing. The year was 20XX. Bots had overran casual mode. There was no refuge, and so we had to look back. Console TF2 was that refuge for some people. Why worry about all the nonsense with bots when all you had to do was turn back the clock? Unsurprisingly, there wasn't a lot of hacking on Xbox TF2, despite the horrific anti-cheat. Well, there was hacking, just not the usual kind. Forget the Maubox and Dose Hoster, these guys just want to have fun. And there is only ever a few games running on any time of the day. Thankfully, there's a couple of communities that are running together to try to revive it. And while every project didn't work, it's still inspiring to see what everyone's doing. After time though, we got an ultimatum for these revival projects. Our deadline? March 28, 2023. EA announced they would be shutting down the servers of Half-Life 2, cutting off TF2 in the process. It gave players 3 months to gather together and send off the game that guided their childhood. It's hard to say goodbye to something that's such a big part of your life. You want to enjoy it while you can, but that looming ultimatum just can't be forgotten. Even so, the players did all they could. Everyone gathered together to send off the game they loved so dearly. This can be assumed to be the last recorded match of PlayStation TF2. It's got a weird melancholy to it. A game that's ran for over 15 years at that point, created so many memories and so many friendships, was crumbling around this poor German dude in Granary, and there's nothing he could do about it. Everyone else got kicked out of the servers about a minute earlier, but he managed to get in. The last game. And it's really cool to see the fabrics of the game falling around him, getting consumed by the lag. And then, it shut down. It was gone. It's a sad conclusion to such a beautiful story, but it wasn't the end, because we still have Xbox. Xbox TF2 survived past all of this drama, and it's still going today. Unfortunately, I already threw out my old Xbox, but if you really want to play, go ahead, grab a copy of the orange box. Backwards compatibility means you should be able to play on newer versions of the Xbox if you have one. The mods are just as prominent, if not more so than the PlayStation. So go for it, and etch your name into the history books forever. Thank you, good luck, and boo loop.